Hi folks, so I know it's the weekend, but well, I'm bored, to be honest with you. I'm just sitting here bored, not doing very much, so I thought I'd come on. And I've had a few letters, a few emails that have been asking for advice more than their actual hobby nightmares. So I'm calling this video Hobby Nightmares. It is more of an advice video, so if that's not really for you, then feel free to click off this and go and watch something else. I've got loads of videos on there that are all hobby nightmares, and these are cringy, don't get me wrong. And they are pieces of advice that could do you in good stead in the hobby going forwards, and a lot of them are quite nightmarish too. There's only 2 of them. And I just thought I'd come on and go over them a little bit. So, let's get involved. Do you know, when you guys have a YouTube channel that you're watching and it's like a talking head video, if you pause the video to go and do something else, and you leave them in a really uncompromising position, like their eyes are rolling towards the sky and the mouths are open, do you ever click on the video just to put it in a nicer face for them before you go and do something else? Or is that just me? Probably just me. Anyway, Jake says, to Mr. Northern Exile, hello Northern Exile, I've been a fan of your videos for quite some time now. I always listen to your new uploads. Thank you very much, Jake, thank you. I've recently gone through a confusing and toxic relationship, which I'm not afraid to say was largely my fault, due to it being my first relationship among other reasons. Yeah man, I mean, your first relationship, you've really got to give yourself a bit of breathing space there. I honestly don't think that you can look at your first relationship and say this is the be-all and end-all of who I'm going to be as a person. I mean, my first relationship, proper one, was when I was like, maybe 17. And if you look at the kind of guy I was then, the kind of guy I am now, almost double the age later. Actually double the age later. You can't really... I'm a completely different person. Like I've had an entire lifetime's worth of experience compared to that guy, you know? I can't be the same person. Now, maybe you are a young guy. Just know that this is not the way it ends. It really isn't. Like, you've got a long way to go. So do not beat yourself up by things that have gone on in a relationship where it's your first relationship. Jake carries on. I'm writing to you as I have been suffering with depression for some time now. It started when I finished 6th form 3 years ago. So, in the UK, 6th form is basically the early part of college. So, you will be 21, maybe 22. When my friends all left for university, and I stayed at home to work full time in order to get some money behind me before I went to university. Yeah, there's a big mistake, first of all. Again, I applaud you for wanting to get some money behind you, but... you know, student loans and things like that, they allow you to be selfish when you're younger, and most of the ones that are given now are wiped out by the time you're in your 40s if you haven't paid them off yet. So I would really suggest, if all of your friends are going to university and you're going to go anyway, go with them. If they're going to the same university and to the university you want to go to, then go with them. Don't ever start on your own if you can help it. I did, and I really loved it, and, you know, if you think it's for you, then go for it. But, you know, yeah, quite a mistake there for looking at getting over depression and things. But anyway, carrying on. He says, I went to California with my old man in September 2019, and it was the best experience of my life. Not to mention also going to Florida as well, with my dad's friend for a few days. Well, shoot me down. You did the right thing, okay. When I returned home, however, things took a turn for the worse. I was not working many hours at work at the time, so I spent my days home by myself. I tried to stay occupied, but I began to get lonely and depressed, and I felt abandoned. I can't blame my friends at all. They moved on with their lives as they should do. But I felt I had to find a couple of things I loved doing. Music and Warhammer. Okay, awesome, man. I've been in that situation. I even had this conversation with my mum a few days ago when I was a lot younger, before I went to university, and I was unemployed and just sitting off, not doing very much, and not wondering what to do with my life. It's a terrifying time. And it's not really something that you can sort of put a gauge on in terms of how you're going to feel and stuff. I've been in some dark places in the time when I've had no work and not been doing anything. But I'll be honest with you guys, there have been times when I've not been working, and I've been working a little bit just to get some pocket money and then not doing very much else, where I've been very happy. You know? Because there's nothing like having time to do your own stuff. Now, now I'm a bit older, that obviously doesn't work well with me. If I'm not working or I'm not doing something, it really messes with my self-esteem, and I start to act out and get really depressed. So kudos for you for being so young and getting that thing out early. Jake says, then COVID kicked off. Things got really bad. I was working lots more now, which helped me to stay sane, but I wasn't doing the things I loved doing. I had a dream, and still do, of becoming one of the greatest music producers in the world. Alright, that's a hell of a dream. It might sound a bit corny, but I aspire to one day be as good as the likes of Dr. Dre. Okay, cool. I always loved to paint models. I have a firstborn Space Marine army that I have gathered more units for over the years, but never got round to painting them. I'll tell you this, dude, like, if you ever do become like a Dr. Dre level music producer and you're doing Warhammer, that's not something you should leave behind. We need to do the D12 thing, where, you know, when Eminem was like, the D12 group that he was with, they had this agreement that if one of them made it, he would come back and get the others. Yeah, you need to do that for the rest of the hobby, like Henry Cavill is trying to do. So if you go and make it, then you need to come back for the rest of us and be like, yeah, this hobby's awesome. You know, every hot woman in the world should go and do this hobby if you want to meet a good man. Come back for the rest of us, dude. You know. Anyway, he says, I'm not a huge fan of the look of the Primaris models, blasphemy, but I really like the look of the Firstborn Marines and I love to paint them. Okay. A lot of people in the Discord will be like, oh, man of taste. But as the weeks and months of 2020 went by, I stopped doing anything I enjoyed. My head was full of hateful and self-loathing thoughts. Oh man, been there. And I felt paralysed. The only reason I'm still here today is because of my old man, God bless him. He was the only one I could talk to about my thoughts and feelings, and he did what he could to help. Yeah, man. This is why male figures are so important in your life. Like, you know, even if it's not your dad. Like, mine was my grandpa, and I had a few other people as well who would come and help me out. Yeah, you need a strong male influence in your life. He says, I had an opportunity to work with a rapper in 2021, but I never pursued it. At the time, I blamed him, but in hindsight, I know it was my failings that led to the missed opportunity. The months continued to go by, and I continued to feel terrible. I would go to work, sure, but any other time, I would just lie in bed doing nothing. Okay, I know I'm stopping a lot, but this guy's literally saying my own life back to me. Depression comes in many ways. And one of the ways it comes in is you don't think you deserve success. And so when success starts to knock on your door, you tell it to fuck off, essentially. And you start feeling sorry for yourself because you know what's easy? Do you know what's safe? Misery. You know what misery is. Misery is trustworthy. You know how you're going to feel when you feel miserable. And you can blame the world for all of your faults if you're miserable, right? You've made me miserable. It's your fault. But you know, if you go and you went to that rapper and you said, yeah, man, I'll work with you, and then things don't work out and you tried your best, you have no one to blame but yourself, and you don't have the mental capacity or strength at that time to deal with it. And so, you say no to it, you poo-poo it, and you blame him. These are things that you will feel bad for, and you will start to self-loathe in a certain spiral, right? In a circular spiral. That's not fair. That's not fair on you. Everybody does this. When they've got depression, they don't want good opportunities to come their way, because number one, they don't think they're worthy of them, and number two, deep down, when you actually examine their feelings, they really don't want responsibility for them in case it blows up in their face and they've got no one to blame but themselves. Finding true happiness is all about risk, and it's dealing with it when things don't go your way. That's the true point of being happy in life. The only reason why this YouTube channel is even doing okay is because I took that chance and I let people in. You know, I did the Discord opening last November, maybe December, was the biggest thing I've ever done in my professional life. Just to make sure that, okay, if I'm going to make it a success of this, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to open myself up to people. I'm going to see what they think. And it's gone okay so far. And you need to break that cycle, that's what I'm saying. Let's go on, see what else Jake has to say. He says, my thoughts became worse and worse, and I had several moments where I began plotting the only escape I could think of. I went to university in 2021 to study politics and economics, a year late due to COVID. I love studying how markets interact with each other and how money travels within our economy. Dude, you got a brain. Use it. It was around this time I met my first girlfriend. Things went well for the first few months, but we were both in bad places, so things didn't quite work out. We broke up and got back together several times, and I'm not afraid to admit that I was a bit toxic by keeping her around just to not feel lonely. I wouldn't say that's toxic, man. I've done that before. In fact, I did that in 2018. Literally 4 years ago, I was still doing that. You learn these lessons all the time. Honestly, I'm a lot older than you, and even 4 years ago, I was a lot older than you, and I was still doing shit like that. I was keeping this girl around, so I didn't feel lonely, and so I wasn't on my own. Until finally she went, and I realised I was okay. Jake says, my depression made me hate myself for not doing enough studying, so I would punish myself by not working on music or painting Warhammer. This vicious cycle went on for months, and my depression became worse and worse. I did get help through CBT, and it did work for a time, but I have relapsed quite badly. Then finally, in August of this year, I permanently ended things with this girl. Well, for you to do it, man, that's a hell of a thing. He says, I have felt better the past couple of months, but the depression is sinking in again. Even now I'm writing to you because of how shit my day has been. I feel powerless to stop this feeling, and I can't understand why I feel this way. I have goals and dreams I want to accomplish, but I am so angry and resentful with myself for not working on them sooner, that I feel like I can't do them now. I spend and have spent so much time dwelling on what could have been and what I should have done, that I fail to see what opportunities are in front of me. But I want to get better, and I hate myself for not being able to pursue my dreams. I feel trapped and lonely. I'm broke, and worst of all, my sixth form friends are now out of uni, getting proper jobs, have girlfriends, and are moving on with their lives. Alright, number one, before we go anywhere else, do you know when people say to you, like, you know, other people have it worse, you know, don't listen to that, but what I will tell you is, you never know what's on the other side. I know a lot of people who claim to have the perfect lives without actually having to claim it. Like, they go out there and they show you these pictures, and they tell you about all these things that are going on in their lives, and then I get to see behind the curtain because I get to know them a little bit better, and I get to see how they live and how their house is and who they know, and I just think, wow, like, my life's better than this. Like, without even, you go to work, like, every day, like, well, fucking hell, my life's better than that, you know, or like, you like, you don't work with, like, students and stuff, you just gotta take it from your boss all the time. Well, my life's better than that. You know, all these people who think that they've got it well, they actually don't. They're just, everybody's working through the same shit. They're just working through it in different ways. So comparing your own life to other people's is probably the most, not toxic, but self-destructive thing you can do. If you want to carry on down this spiral, then continue comparing your life to other people's. Because what I will tell you now is depression is a liar. It lies. It tells you things that you think are true, and they're not. So it will tell you that everybody's living a better life than you. They are not. It will tell you the sky is pink. It is not. They are not living a better life than you. That is what depression is telling you. And the more you compare your life to theirs, the more you're feeding your depression. Alright? Jake says, I work out, and I'm in good shape. That's a good start, man. But that seems to be the only thing I can do consistently. I'm 21 now. Ha! Told you, 21. And I know most of my life is ahead of me. But it's hard to look forward to when my life feels consumed by darkness and despair 24/7. I don't drink very often, and I've never done drugs. Those are the only temporary fixes for my problem anyway. I want to be permanently rid of this thing. I know you addressed this in one of your videos recently, but I felt that I needed to confide in someone. What do I do to become happy again and enjoy life once more? Apologies for the long message, I just wanted to get it off my chest. No worries if you don't have time to respond, I understand. Haha, I did. You're a busy guy, and with a lot of shit going on. Thanks for everything you do, your videos helped me to cope with the past few months. Yours faithfully, Jake. Yeah, so I changed his name, just in case. But he knows, I asked him earlier on today whether I could actually do this over a video rather than sending him an email back. So what do you do? Well, I've already given you the preventative steps so far in this video, so I've stopped it a few times and said, look, this is what you should do here, this is what you should do there. In terms of you feeling good as a person, here's what I don't want you to do, first of all. Do not go looking for a woman to fill this void. If you're 21 and decent looking, they will come eventually, right? Build it and they will come. Literally. Eventually. So do not base any of this on a woman. On how she feels, on how many you can get, or how many you can get into bed. That way only leaves further darkness, because it is an empty place to be. What you should do instead is work on yourself, and you're already doing so. You're already in the gym. That is one of the main things that you can do to make yourself feel better, is to get those endorphins going around your body. Make sure your body is working and it's healthy. That seems to be what you're doing ahead of the curve anyway. You've done therapy, okay, so go back and do therapy again. Do it and do it and do it. I think I'm okay right now. You know, and I've been okay for a year, if I'm being honest. Being quite honest. I need to take a sip of my drink. Hang on. Like, I'm pretty sure I've been okay for about a year. I still do therapy every week. I still do it every week. Because as far as I'm concerned, your mental health is like a fire. It'll start to ebb if you don't keep throwing logs on the fire. And that's what I do. Every single week I throw another log on. Another log on the fire. And just make sure that I'm making sure that I'm getting what I need, and I'm getting to talk to somebody, and I'm getting shit out, you know? So therapy is also one way you should really be looking at going. Avoid drugs, yes. Avoid drink, yes. Friends is one other thing. Friends is one other thing. You say that your friends from university have come back from university to your town. One thing I would actually suggest you do is make contact with those friends again and be very honest about where you are in life. Don't tell them, you know, oh my god, things are terrible. You know, don't be a come down. Don't be that guy, right? Because let's be honest, you need to be true to yourself. Not everybody wants to hear about your problems all the time. But let them know. Say, hey man, I'm feeling a bit lonely. Do you mind if I go for a beer? Or, hey man, yeah, I'm feeling a bit down and out. Do you mind if we go for a beer? Listen, if that guy's a bro, there's no way he's going to, like, not want to go for a drink with you. I would. Because I'd be interested. I'd be like, oh, wow, this guy's got some balls. Like, just telling me he's feeling down, wants to go for a beer. Fuck yeah, I'll go for a beer. Let's do this, right? That's another thing you can do. Is try and make sure that, you know, you can go out with people. Not get drunk, but go out with people and have a nice time and get your social circle moving again. One of the main things we do as human beings is that we are social beings, and I think a lot of people, and a lot of the way that the world is made up at the moment, it sort of encourages this almost incel mentality. Don't let them fucking beat you, because a lot of the things online celebrate men sitting at home on their own doing nothing. It celebrates it because, you know what, they want you to sit at home. When I say they, I mean society at large. They want you castrated as a man. They want you at home doing nothing. If they could put you up to some sort of sperm pump and just put you in a room somewhere and closet you out with all of your toxic masculinity, they do it. Tell them to fuck off mentally, get up and get out there and get right in their face, right in everybody's face. Like, here I am, I'm having a pint, go fuck yourself, right? That is the main thing. I know you've seen it online, because I'm already getting it from the message that you sent. That, you know, that modern society celebrates people staying at home and being like, oh, I'm a bit, like, socially awkward, or, I don't know what to say to people. I'm just standing there. Like, you see all these memes of people like, you know, my friends all standing there laughing and joking, and me, and there's a person on the other side like, ugh, like being weird. And they're celebrating that fact. Dude, no. Because there comes a time, and you will get to here, right? You will get to this point where you're in your 30s, maybe 40s, and you realise, oh shit, I was one of those other people. I wasn't the person standing at the side, cool, like fucking Batman. I was the guy who was wanting to be in the middle. I wanted to have friends, and if I'd only told them how I felt, I could have had far more friends by now. So, don't let it get you down. Make sure that you are out there doing your thing, okay? I hate saying advice like this because it seems very old hat and very, of course, you should just do that. But some people, you just need to be told. Get your big boy pants on. Get in the shower. Groom yourself. Look good. Make contact with the friends that have come home. Say, I want to go for a beer. And I want to go out there and Talk some shit. Talk some shit. Now, let me just come back around here after I've had a little sip of my drink. If you are hung up on the woman that you broke up with, okay? Number one, you broke up with her, so, you know, you won't be feeling as bad as you did if she broke up with you, I understand. But if you are feeling pretty bad, the way to go about getting over that is to make sure that you fill your life with as many things as you can to stop thinking about it. And what I mean by that is, go to the gym, like you're doing, go and get your friends out, like I've told you to, and if you want to, this shouldn't be a substitute, but if you want to, go talk some shit to some girls. Go find some girls to talk to. If it's in a bar, restaurant, whatever. Go over and say, hey girls, you know, how's it going? Blah, blah, you know, my name's Jake. And just go talk some shit. Go talk some shit. Even, as I said the other day, even if you think something's going to piss them off, look inside and think about how bad you feel of a normal time. Do you really think what a woman says to you can make you feel any worse? No. No. Do you really think you could feel good if you go to a woman and you manage to get her number and she wants to go on a date and you can go out and socialise with her a little bit? Do you know how much better you'd feel? Yeah. You literally have nothing to lose. You're 21. You have zero to lose right now. Absolutely zero. You're employed. You've clearly got a brain. You did a brilliant university course. You've clearly got a brain. You're clearly the way they take the piss out of yourself. You've got a sense of humour, dude. You have the entire. I know you say you got the entire life ahead of you. You don't just have that. The whole world's at your fucking feet, mate. It's at your feet. All you've got to do is look down and see it. Anyway, moving on. And please email me if you want to follow up talk. I can always talk to you on email, because I know you signed up to my Patreon. Good lad. Andy says, Warhammer World gone wrong. Okay, well, let's see where this goes. He says, Hi North, I've been watching your channel for a good while now, and really enjoy your down-to-earth advice and takes on all things hobby-related. Thank you very much. I thought I would message you to get your advice on with regards to a strange feeling I've been feeling with regards to the hobby lately that peaked last weekend. Alright, a Primaris Marine hasn't touched you inappropriately, has he? This is not a nightmare story as such, but it is rather strange, so it kind of is a nightmare. Okay. A bit of context before I start, however, with regards to my hobby journey. I started in 2002 with the Battles in Middle-earth magazines, good choice, Games Workshop sold at the time. I played regularly Lord of the Rings and Fantasy until about 2010, when I joined the military and had to put the hobby aside. I left the military in 2016 and came back to the hobby as a coping mechanism, mostly painting, which is when I also picked up Age of Sigmar and looked at getting into 40k for the first time. Yeah, I bet you Age of Sigmar back then was a bit of a culture shock. Coming out of the army when you've been doing fantasy and being like, what the hell is all this? Why do they all have thongs on? I'll shut up. He says, I've been playing the systems since then, which brings us up to date. Okay. One of my friends with the second edition started with second edition 40k and has been back in the hobby as of 2019. We decided to take a trip to Warhammer World last weekend. He had never been, and last time I went I was 11, now I'm 31. So we thought it would be nice to see what the headquarters of a booming company look like now. I hope this isn't going in sort of a Brokeback Mountain direction. Actually, I'm kind of hoping that'll be really good goths, that'll be brilliant. He says, we got there early and had a browse around the store and were impressed by the gaming space. The store had grown substantially, but the gaming space looked the same as it ever had done, as far as I was aware. We then entered the exhibit, and this is where a sense of sadness and disappointment hit us. Both. There was nothing that really told the story of Games Workshop. No displays featuring the history of the company. No throwbacks to older editions apart from the old Golden Demon winner entries, and no personality. The corporate face of Games Workshop was clear, and the exhibition was simply there to advertise current model ranges, where I feel the balance should have been struck a lot better. It was sad to see no story really alongside the models, other than that had been built in who had built the exhibit in question. Okay, I don't entirely agree, because they do have some of the earlier White Dwarf like jousting models and stuff in the exhibit. And there is a massive central exhibit that is telling the story of the Horus Heresy. Where people are fighting and all that sort of stuff. Like they've got, and they have several amazing boards there that are showing you behind glass that are showing you like Prospero with the Space Wolves and Thousand Suns and all that sort of stuff. So I don't really agree. I felt that it was quite good when I went. Well, maybe because we got to go in for free, but like it also means like the amount of stuff that I saw in there I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, he says, I hadn't lost all hope, however, as I remembered you said in one of your other streams that there was a Find the Assassin competition, and we asked a staff member about it. I shouldn't have been surprised at Games Workshop's idea of giving away a freebie. The staff member said it was one assassin that could be found per day. Okay, cool. Awesome. He reassured me that it had yet to be found, and said to look out for the large 40k diorama near the end of the exhibit. I thought, sure, I fancy my chances here. Yeah, it's like 40 feet tall. And it's in darkness, most of it. We got to the exhibit in question, and my face must have been a picture as my friend burst out laughing. Without ruining it for people who haven't been, the diorama in question was the size of a small flat, and upwards of probably 5,000 models on it. People were crowding around all sides, trying to find the elusive assassin. But I ended up walking straight out. Yeah, don't blame you, mate. The thought of wasting an hour or more to find something in a display that big was laughable, especially if someone before you might have already claimed the prize for the day. As a side note, they didn't bother putting the limited to one a day on any of the posters. Okay. We left the exhibit and decided to head down to Bugman's Bar. The aesthetic was very cool, and as I remembered it, but the food left something to be desired. The beer was nice, but I found it hard to justify £17 for a semi-cold burger with some onion rings on it. I tried to check myself and see if I was just being bitter about the exhibit, but felt the complaint was justified. I will say, like, I'm not the best guy to come to. Do you remember what I said the other day on the shilling video about, don't trust shills when they review stuff? Well, I'm the same about Bugman's. I get most of the stuff I get at Bugman's is free. It's either free or heavily subsidised to like a quarter of the price because of my name tag. If I can go in there with my name tag with my barcode on the back of it, they still scan it and I still get most of the shit for free. And most of it for being, for whatever. And do you know what's even cooler? If I go into a GW with it now and I get it scanned, I can get a white dwarf for free. How cool is that as an alumni? That's pretty cool. Anyway, and if you do work for Games Workshop, or you did, you still have your name tags, bring them into a GW and get yourself a free white dwarf, because it's fucking awesome. Anyway, yeah, I'm not the kind of person who can really give you feedback on Bugman's Bar because, I love it because it's really cheap. He said, we left and went back to the shop where my friend bought the re-released Rogue Trader rulebook and some paints. That's cool. He asked me if I wanted anything after a good look around, and even though I had budgeted some money to buy some models, I felt nothing. Nothing called out to me, but I instead felt hollow. I witnessed a young guy, probably 19 or 20, spend about £500+ on a basket of heresy stuff, most of which I knew would end up in a pile of shame, and I actually felt sick. The hype and desires I had succumbed to in the past had washed away during the time of our visit, and it felt like a curtain had been lifted from my eyes. Yeah, man, that's this horrible feeling. I'll say this, man. I'll say this. This happens to us all. So, the reason why my channel started, Andy, the reason why it really started, I did a video called Working at Games Workshop, My Experience back in the day, and that's what really got the channel on the map. And then I went away for a year or two because I was sorting out my life. But, and then when my life fell apart again, I came back, like a grovelling, please take me back to YouTube. But what I will say is that the channel started because I had this feeling that I'd lost my religion, that I'd lost my hobby, and I didn't know where to go about it. And so I came on here and I just vented all the things that I hated about the hobby. And thankfully, other people have been struck a chord with, and they like what I say. And that's kind of got me back into the hobby as I've been going. But I can only commiserate because this is a journey that only you can help yourself with. It's not really something I can do. I can't give you back your love for the hobby. That comes from within. It's a hobby. So, I'll carry on. But, yeah, just so you know, I can't wave a magic wand and things. My friend commented saying that even for him, he felt like a casual observer after that visit, rather than someone who actively participates in the hobby. And I agree with him. It was a horrible feeling to come away with. It's been a week since this happened, and I honestly don't know what to do at the moment. I told my wife about it, and I think she was relieved and said, "It sounds like you've outgrown it. I'll divorce her. Get rid of her." No, that's not my actual advice. But you know, just don't. Right, gonna get me on my high horse. Where's my high horse? There it is. Come here, girl. Come here. Right, getting on my high horse. Right. No partner should say, outgrow your hobby. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. If you needed to listen to this part of the hobby, of the video, then please, you know, do not belittle your husband's hobby that he finds joy in. Because the more things that you take away and you roll your eyes at that he enjoys, the more it saps away of his enjoyment of your relationship and you being around. Got it? Get it? Good. Moving on. He says, and there may be some truth in it, but I hope that isn't the case. Any advice or thoughts on the matter would be greatly appreciated. Kind regards, Andy. So, I can't give you your love of the hobby back, unfortunately. That's something I can't do. That's a very personal journey. That's why it's called the hobby. What I can do is give you a few tips and how I got around it. For me, it was lore. I started reading up on the lore again, and I started writing again. And Warhammer 40,000 is what got me writing. It's what got me to finish Blackcoats. So my first published work, as in like fully published, I've been published twice in other journals and things and compilations, but I've never been published as in here is my book sort of a thing. So Blackcoats is going to be the first time that has happened, and that's because I got into the hobby again. And the hobby got me writing again. I wrote an entire codex that I then deleted, and I've done it again and again and again. I'm going to release the Astral Blades Codex for free because I did a video the other day when I was saying I probably shouldn't because of legal matters, but then people have told me that I could, and then I did a bit more research, and it turns out I can. So I'm going to. But like, you need to find your own niche of the hobby where you can sit down and go, oh yes, this wets my whistle. I really want to do this. And that's how you go off and you make sure that the hobby is now working for you rather than you working for the hobby. That's the point, my friend. When you're younger and you still have this starry-eyed expression like that 19-year-old that you were mentioning in your letter, he's working for the hobby because it's very special to him and it's something that defines his life because he's at university and doesn't have very much else going on. You work a job and you've got your life, and the hobby now needs to work for you. You need to, and quite simply, you have a lot of things going on in your life that are competing for space in your head with the hobby. So, find what you like most about the hobby and focus on that for a couple of months. Don't buy any models, don't look at any models, just focus in on what you like about the hobby. For me, it was the lore, so I read books, I read the wiki, I watched YouTube videos, and eventually I got back into it again. And I couldn't help myself. I think my first video was, why are the Ultramarines so fucking boring? Yeah, that was my first video back, because I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I was still in America when I made that video. My ex was sitting right behind me when I was making that video. Again, rolling her eyes. Hence her being a fucking ex. But, in terms of, like, the hobby itself and things like that, you need to figure out how it works for you. It could be that you want to watch people painting models. It could be that you want to watch people going over the lore. It could be that you want to watch Brother Alpha Boosa taking the piss out of the hobby. It could be that you want to watch some artwork being made or anything, right? Even if it's looking at other models, no problem. I know I told you not to do that, but, you know, no problem. If that's what you want to do, look at conversion sets, look at good ideas for different armies that you've always wanted to do. If you've always had that army in your head that you've always wanted to do, go and look and see how other people have done it and make a little collage on your computer or wherever, on your Google Drive of ideas for your big army when you finally are going to do it. Write some lore for it, write some rules for it, write some inspiration for it, and see where it takes you. And if at the end of all of that, you're still not feeling it, then it's time to step away. But for now, I think you've had just a bad experience at Warhammer World, and it's coloured your perception a little bit. I've been in this situation before where one thing leads into another, and then all of a sudden you're like, I hate this, I don't do this anymore. And then a few days later, I come back, can you do it again? And, and I give them my wallet again, So, try and do what I said, alright? That is me for now, guys. That is me for now. I love you all long time. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will speak to you on Monday. Have an amazing time. See you later.